Welcome to Building a Powerhouse Brand. I'm Jackie Laws, brand strategist, mentor, designer, author and founder of brand agency Bailey & Rue. My mission for this podcast is to support other women to build a magnetic personal brand and a business that allows you to have both financial and time freedom. Building your personal brand is not just about those visuals, it's about setting the stage as the real you and a magnet for those dream clients. Join me and my incredible guests as I dive into the strategies, insights, and stories behind building a successful brand. Whether you're an entrepreneur, a marketer, or simply intrigued by brand building, this podcast is your roadmap to success. Tune in each week as I explore branding, innovation, and influence, and join me on this adventure as we unleash the power of personal branding. Visit baileyandrue.com for more insights and follow me on Instagram at baileyandrue. This is Becoming a Powerhouse Brand. Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Becoming a Powerhouse Brand. I'm so excited today because I have the lovely Nicola Parker here from Stronger Than Your Mind, who's going to talk all about the importance of building your business and also turning your life around when you suffer with things like mental health disorders or any issues that you have that may be setting you back. Obviously, I'm here all about embracing who you are and really owning who you are in yourself and not feeling like you're being judged by anybody. So I'm really excited to have a chat with Nicola. So Nicola, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for coming. Could you just tell us a bit about how you got started, what you do, and kind of your journey into where you are now?
I'm going to try and keep it short and sweet, even though it's not short and sweet, and I declare myself as a waffle queen.
Oh, go for the waffle. I'm a waffler.
Try my best. So I forgot the question now. Basically, who am I? How about
Who
you?
are you?
So I'm a mental fitness mentor. So what does that mean? That means I help people with their moods and emotions so that they can take control of them. So I help with mental illnesses, but I do bring a bit of exercise into that as well as the personal trainer. So altogether, it's mental fitness mentor. I am a qualified counsellor, but I use my lived experiences probably slightly more than I actually use my actual qualifications as a counsellor. So I'm basically batshit crazy. I know other batshit crazy people, but that does not mean that I have got my shit figured out. I should have asked if I'm allowed to swear. I've already.
Go for it. Yeah, go for it.
Good job, innit? What's that saying where they say ask for forgiveness, not permission? Kind of doing that. So, as I just said, I did qualify as a counsellor, but I learned more during my own mental health breakdown than I ever did when I was studying counselling. And so that's kind of led me to where I am today, in that it'll get deep for a little minute, so I apologise. But when I was going through my own mental health breakdown and I was attempting to end my life several times, and then it got to the point where the ambulance crew had come in and there was let's just say saving me from what I was doing at the time, and they was like, oh my gosh, if we would have been 30 seconds later, we'd actually be dealing with a dead body now, we'd not actually be trying to get her back round. And I remember just being really pissed off with them, thinking, you absolute twats, go deal with someone who's ringing 999, not me. Like, leave me alone. What are you doing?
Saving you.
Yeah, like what are you doing that for? And I felt very much like, I didn't give you permission to save me. Did I ask? Did I ask for your help? No, go away. But also I think some people who hear that people have been through suicide attempts and they assume, especially because I am a mum to three. No, I was a mum to three back then. Now I'm a mum to four. I feel like I've had two different lives because there's an 11-year age gap from my youngest. Yeah, whatever. So, people expect this epiphany of, oh, I did it for my children, or I did it for my partner, or I did it for my family member, or somebody or something else. Whereas I like to be really, really honest. It's like one of my core values that I'll be honest with you so you can start being honest with yourself, even if that honesty is a bit tough to hear. So for me, the epiphany was, oh my God, I'm that thick, I can't even kill myself. Like, how thick can you be, Nick? This is your third time. You were 30 seconds from being there. And again, to go a little bit deep, I remember feeling like I was passing. I didn't like go and meet my maker, whoever he may be or whatever, but there was just this feeling of not sleep, but just calmness.
Yeah.
So it was like I'd got so close, but just like in the complete lack of self-worth, it was,
Yeah.
God, you're that sick, you can't even kill yourself. And it was like, well, I might as well try and figure this shit out then. Knowing you're a qualified counsellor, you're supposed to be able to deal with this shit, Nick. What are you going to do? And so it was from that this whole business was born, basically, of me then helping myself. And one of the first things I did was to say, why not? Because most of my days were spent saying why to end my life. It was then, okay, why not? Like, force yourself, Nick, to find 3 reasons why not to end your life today. And one day I wrote, in true like 90s teenager style, although it was like nowhere near the 90s, but I was reliving my youth. So it was there in like pretty little pens. Do you remember the smellable gel pens?
Oh yeah, they were the best.
I found some of them in an old box when I was like rooting around. So one day I'd wrote, what if I can help other people like me? And so that's why I say it's the mentorship, because I kind of learned more through, a bit like an apprenticeship where you're on the job rather than doing it academically. It was now like I was going through my own apprenticeship as a counsellor to be like, okay, we say things like do this, do that, but what is it actually like when you're in the shoes, when you're walking the walk, you're not just talking the talk. And funnily enough, my GP, I'd had to see him every like 4 weeks, and like being on, I just called it like suicide watch. Everyone was just kind of checking in. He alive? Yeah, great. See you in a bit. Off you pop. And one day he said to me, like, I'd go in his room and he'd be like, I don't really know what to do. You're the counsellor. I'm a GP. Don't know, lots about mental health. And this was like 10 years ago as well, so it weren't as talked about.
Yeah.
So he was like, have you tried exercise? Don't you guys say that's what you should do? Exercise. I'm like, oh, fuck off. See you coming out of the shop with your bottle of Coke, so don't be, preaching. But then I was like, do you know what? Yeah, we do tell people to do that, and yeah, it's supposed to work, but I bet it's more bullshit that they've just wrote in a book and nobody's actually tested, have they? So to prove it wrong, okay, again, I'm showing my age. Do you remember DVDs? My teenagers like, what? Shut up. But we used to all get the fitness DVDs in January and then just leave them on the DVD stand. So I went back home and seen these DVDs still in the pretty little wrapper, and I was like, right, I'm going to prove him wrong. I'm going to get one out. I'm going to do it. And then at least I know then, right, well, that was bullshit as well, what we're all telling people to do. Whereas actually, I did it, and it was like someone had turned the switch off in my head. All I was thinking about is, again, I'm showing my age so much on this podcast. But again, I didn't know about editing. Like now is airbrushing and everything, don't we? So we know we're like, oh, we know your game. But back then we didn't. And I'm thinking, how the fuck are they doing burpees for 30 seconds and they look immaculate, like they've just stepped out of the salon? So all them things were in my head, thinking like, why are they not sweating? Why is she breathing normally? Why is this doing that? Why? I'm quite a competitive person. So, but oh my God, if they can finish it, come on, Nicola, come on, you can do 10 more. Right, come on, keep going till they go. Like, shit, they're not dropping. Get up, Nicola. And it was just this internal thing to just make it through.
Yeah, that drive to keep you going.
Yeah. Reminding myself to breathe, because I'm still shit at it now, even though I'm a qualified personal trainer, but I have to remind myself, shit, breathe, breathe. So all that was in my head. And then at the end, it was that high, not the kind of recreational high that drugs can apparently get you, but just the, oh my gosh, I just did that. Out of all my day and feeling so shit, I just achieved something, and I just made my body do something. All right, I was a sweaty heap of a mess on the floor, but I'd made it do something.
It's that sense of accomplishment, isn't it, when you've done it?
Yeah, like especially when I find also I've never ever been an exercise person, and when people started to hear that I was becoming a personal trainer, there was like, Nick, have you ever been in a gym? I was like, nope. Day one of me being in a gym is day one of my personal training qualification. What are you doing? But it was all for the mental health benefits it had. It was nothing for getting a bigger bum or a smaller bum or whatever the trend is to have at the minute. physically. It was all about actually it gives me that time off, and then it does chemically stabilize your mood. So it kind of gives you a bit of a level playing field. It has the exact same chemicals as in all mental health medications, but you don't have, say, you don't have the side effects, it's just different side effects. So you're going to sweat.
You're going to ache like hell the next day.
Yeah. So it's just all that kind of led me to using things like exercise for my moods and going, okay, that is my daily therapy. I have to do that, doing the journaling, asking myself why not, all these things that I was using on myself. And then again, showing my age, I started vlogging, like, you know, like just documenting what I was doing, and created a Facebook group and be like, okay, I had something called psychodynamic therapy. I hope this woman never like finds me and hears what I used to call her, but I used to call her the happy lady because she did not make me feel happy. She was not happy. She needed therapy herself, I think. So I used to do a live before and after I'd see the happy lady. So it was like, okay, I'm about to go see the happy lady. I'd struggle with the drive because it was in like the city centre, and I do not like city centres.
Yeah.
So I'd get quite a lot of anxiety about driving somewhere new. I have dyslexia, so I have to visit somewhere at least 100 times until I just remember it. So it was the whole like, oh my gosh, where am I going? Listening to the sat nav, and it was back when it was an actual sat nav, and you're like,
Yeah.
I don't understand what you're telling me, Garmin. What the fuck do you want me to do? What is this? So I'd just go live and kind of share that with people and going, okay, this is how I'm feeling. And oh shit, last week she said we was going to talk about such a thing. I wonder if she's going to bring that up or not. And oh my gosh, right, I'm going in now, right off a pop. And then I'd come out and I'd be like, well, we didn't bloody talk about what she said we was going to talk about. We just talked about this and it was shit. And I should have said this and I felt like this. And it's just all come about really naturally from me going, God, I'm fucking crazy and I need to figure this shit out. And I've only got some qualifications to do that, but actually, what does that look like in practice? And then sharing that and then realizing, oh, actually, I've kind of got a business here, haven't I? I don't know, actually, people are relating to me and people are like that I'm being open and honest. Like I said before, I am honest, that you can be honest with yourself. And I think I got to that point where, do you know what? I've been in some deep and dark places, and I do have a background in extreme trauma. And I don't mean like my qualifications, I mean like I've gone through lots of different extreme traumas in my life. So it's like, I think I've kind of got to that point, and probably age as well, where nothing phases me. And I'm like, do you know what? I can't be arsed beating around the bush. I'm just gonna
Just
say
go
how
for it.
it is. So I'll share things about, you know, I've got something called borderline personality disorder, or some people know it as EUPD. I forgot the bloody thing. Emotionally unstable personality disorder. It's the same thing. It's just people don't necessarily like one name or the other. So I'm just like, whatever. They said BPD first, I'll just stick with that one. And so that means that I am more emotionally reactive to things, and I feel emotions more than the average person, whoever they are. But I actually
What
love,
is an average person?
and I'd love to meet them one day. What are you doing?
You're so average.
Yeah, your life must be boring. But then I celebrate that. I celebrate going, do you know what? Yeah, I could really look at, oh my God, if I'm sad, I'm going to be really, really sad. Or when I'm happy, like if I like a comedy, I fucking like a comedy. Everyone else will just be laughing a bit, and I'm like crying in laughter and like, give me 10 minutes and I'll be with you. So it's like sharing that, sharing, you know, statistically, quite a lot of serial killers tend to have BPD, not schizophrenia, as the world will like to think. So I'm like, I'm the most likely serial killer, which is really helpful in some situations. Because if you're in a room full of people and you think you're a bunch of swats, like, statistically, I'm the serial killer, guys, and the room just empty. It's like, okay, off we go. Job sorted. But I think it's just being honest. I think honest is so massive, especially when you're going through mental health challenges and things like that. It's hard to be honest because it feels like if you are honest, people are going to label you the crazy person. And I'm like, well, that's fine because I've created a crazy corner of the internet. So you're welcome over here. You'll feel very normal.
Isn't it amazing? So like I feel like social media, there's two sides of it, aren't there? That you've got the one side where it's incredible you can support these other people that are going through it. Like there's actually places where when you are struggling or when you want help with anything, like no matter what that is, you've got so many different corners of the internet where you can go for support and find your people. But then there's also the other side of it where it's very vulnerable, like to actually show
Yeah.
who you are and to be sort of not necessarily brave. I think there is like an element of bravery in there to actually show up as your true self and not be fazed by like people that maybe don't always say nice things about you or that judge you and all this kind of thing. And this is the thing about like when you are building your own personal brand, like it's you really do sort of wear your heart on your sleeve. Like you've got to show up as your authentic self and appreciate that everybody is like Marmite. You're either going to absolutely love
Yeah.
you or not.
But how annoying is it? Like I always call it, it's like your shop window, and like being on social media, we're all presenting our shop window,
Yeah,
and then we all know, don't we? Some shop windows they don't have price tags, and you're like, I'm not even going in because they've
yeah.
got price tags. That means they can't fit the notes on the little tags, so I can't afford it in there. Or you'll be like, I don't trust you. I don't trust you. You've not got your price tags on. I don't trust you. So we'll all judge a
Yeah,
shop window, but then we'll also go into that shop and think, oh, hang on, you didn't have price tags. I thought this was going to be luxury items. It's fucking bric-a-brac. Why
yeah,
have you got shit in the window? So it's the same with our social media. We'll put stuff in the front window of our social media thinking, oh, this is what I should have. This is what will attract people to think I'm okay. But then when they come in and see what's actually in your shop, even if it's the best shop in the world, some people are going to be like, oh, well, that's not the shop I thought it was. This isn't for me to
exactly.
buy. Whereas
Yeah.
other people are going to come in and be like, why did you not have this in your front window? If you would have put this in your front window, I would have come in weeks ago. I've been
Yeah.
walking past here for months, but I thought you was a right boring cow with that shit in the window. So no bother coming in. It's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy to start putting things out there because I think we all get sucked into just following the crowd because
Yeah,
that's what we're programmed to do. Our
exactly.
brains still think we're in the caveman days and that if we're not accepted into a group, we're going to die. But we're not, we're fine. We're okay. Um, and it's reminding ourselves that sometimes going, do you know what? If nobody likes me in this online space, so what?
Yeah,
Is that
exactly.
the
So
end of
what?
it? It's not the end of it. All it does is helps you weed out the people that aren't you. Like you said, if you like Marmite, it's going to help you weed out the people who don't like Marmite.
Yeah,
Like, and we all get these inboxes, don't we, where people are like, "Oh, thanks for connecting. Let's have a chat." And I always like to be like, right, I need to ask you some serious questions first to figure that out. So it's like, do you think pineapple belongs on a pizza? And do you put chocolate in the fridge? Like, they're the important things I need to know. It's a bit like, oh, some people might say, do you like Marmite or not? And it's like, that's what it needs to be like when we're putting ourselves out there,
yeah.
because otherwise you'll end up sat with someone who's putting pineapple on a pizza and you're like, the fuck are you doing? Get off there. Or God forbid someone putting chocolate in the fridge and you're
Oh,
like, don't put it
don't
in the
get me
fridge.
started on that one.
No, I actually spoke to someone today who I was asking these questions to because they just connected. And then I was like, okay, I've done the pineapple bit. I'll forgive you. You put it on a pizza. You're weird, but I deal with crazy people. I can cope. But what about the chocolate? And then they was like, well, I was a chocolatier for 8 years and I can tell you, you should not put it in the fridge. I was like, oh my gosh, now I can actually tell people that it is wrong to put it in the fridge. I was
It
so,
loses half of its flavour.
it does. She did give me some like scientific information, but I forgot it. But it definitely is that. That's a just it loses its flavour and you're not actually enjoying the chocolate. It's the sugar or whatever else is in there.
I love it. I love how we've gone off on a tangent on chocolate as well.
This is what happens when you speak to crazy people.
Oh, I'm the same. What would you, I know you obviously work with people like in all different paths of life and everything, but what would you say? Because I feel like when you are starting your own business, like you've said before, like there is an element of craziness. Like you do have to be slightly crazy to start your own business because it is not an easy road at all. It changes all the time. Like you have to constantly go with the flow and adapt what you're doing and do all the things until you're in a position to outsource. And I think that that in itself, like I know so many people that have been diagnosed with various forms of mental illness, like since being an entrepreneur, because running their own business has highlighted certain things. But what would you say to somebody that is maybe either just starting out and feel, or maybe they haven't started out, but maybe they are suffering with some kind of mental health illness. They love the idea of starting a business, but just don't feel like they're good enough. Like, what would you say to somebody like that?
Yeah, and I think part of me, the entrepreneur in me, wants to fucking run for the hills, don't even bother. But the other
Don't do
part is
it.
to say that actually, I feel a bit like Liam Neeson now, but actually you have got a particular set of skills that going to come in handy, because if you're able to be even thinking or considering of starting a business while dealing with all the shit that'll be going in your head constantly, all day, every day, even at night time, even when you're dreaming and you can't escape it. And if you're then thinking, but actually I could have a business, then it is, I always say there's two different people. There's your brain and there's you. And if we was our thoughts, we wouldn't have them. They wouldn't exist, because our heart just beats. It just does it. We don't have to tell it to do. It's not us. We can literally go get someone else's heart if we need to and put it in us, and it'll still beat. It is not us. It's just doing its job.
Yeah.
And that is the exact same with our thoughts. They're just doing a job. And sometimes they're really shit at the job and they get it all mixed up and they're doing things all in the wrong order. So if you're thinking, I think I could have a business, but then your brain saying you can't do that, you're worthless, you're shit, you're pathetic, you're no good at it. And it's like, well, you're really, really chuffing good at not, going into crisis point or coming out of crisis point. If you're dealing with all that noise in your head and you're still here, then you can deal with all the noise that comes with being an entrepreneur. Even though it's lonely, especially if you're doing it online, it's very, very noisy, and there's a lot of overthinking that comes with being an entrepreneur. And it's like, well, you're already pretty skilled in overthinking because you've been doing that for so long anyway. So, excuse me, it gives you that push to work with someone like myself, people out there who are going to help you to learn how to take control of your moods and emotions, so that you can feel emotionally independent and think, okay, I know how to deal with my overthinking, I know how to deal with my anxiety. If anything, it gives you that push to do that. And I think, like we were saying before we hit record and was having a bit of a pre-chat, I always said a pre-chat. That sounded weird, didn't it? What's a pre-chat?
Pre-chat.
But I think so many of us start a business to avoid those day-to-day symptoms of our mental illnesses, because it's like it is a distraction. You are then so focused and so busy, and there's so much to do, especially when you're first starting, that then it gives you a bit of an excuse to be busy and to not actually sit and be with your thoughts. So I refer to it as like the pink elephant. So this is always gets people laughing, but it's the only way I describe it. I love my metaphors. But when you're in a lift and someone farts and nobody says anything, you all just look at each other. You're all aware that someone's farted and nobody owns it and nobody says anything. And then you get out of the lift and if you're with your mate, you might be like, "Who the fucking hell? Like, I'm ripping that. Is that you?" But I call pink elephants the day-to-day symptoms of our mental illnesses, the symptoms that we know are there, that those around us might know are there, but we don't talk about and pretend they're not there. But actually, they're constantly getting in our way. So lots of us start a business or are in a business as a way to try and avoid those pink elephants that are in our life. I'm like, yeah, let's just push that under the rug. Yeah, there's no elephant there. You can't see anything. Anyway, look at this business. Look how amazing it is. Look what I'm doing. So I think for me, it's crucial that we start to deal with those pink elephants and tame them and move them out the way, so that then you can actually create the business that you want to create. And so many people have really, really successful businesses, but they're not happy. And they'll be wanting time freedom. And it's the one thing we can't buy is time. So we're trying to make time. And then they get it and think, oh, fuck me, my head's a bit fucked up. Anyway, I'll do a new business. Who wants to do or they start getting rid of the team and going, oh no, they're rubbish time. I don't need that social media anymore. I'll do this.
Yeah.
It's such a kind of acceptable way to avoid our mind by having a business, because nobody's going to question that. Nobody's going to
exactly. You can hide behind it. It feels safe.
Yeah. Excuse me.
Yeah, amazing. And I think it's, even if you have been in business for a while, there's so many people that I speak to. So I mentor a lot of people in all different types of industries. And one of the things that comes up is people feeling like they can't charge certain prices, or that they can't show their face online because they don't feel like that's what their audience needs to see. And I'm always like, no, you need to be doing this. Like, you've got to find like who you are and show up as you, because I always say to people, if you imagine that you were at a wedding or something and you're in that room, you're not going to go up and talk to every single person there. You're naturally going to gel with some people and start a conversation, and it will either flow or it won't, and you'll kind of move on to other people. It's not, it's you can't go
Yeah.
on social media and just expect everybody to like you and then be offended or worry if people don't.
Yeah, and I think like I was speaking to you before, weren't I, saying that when I first, excuse me, came on and realized, oh, hang on a minute, I seem to have created this business that I didn't necessarily plan to create.
Yeah.
Like at the time when I had my mental breakdown, I was actually at uni studying law. I was like a single mum to 3 kids at the time, 4 now, keep forgetting the little one. And I was gonna use my counselling skills in the police force as a family liaison officer. And then all of a sudden, here I am, like vlogging and just sharing my journey. And then all of a sudden, people are like, "Do you do one-to-ones?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm actually a qualified counsellor, so yeah, I could do that." And yeah, okay. And like back in the day, I was charging silly money, really. Like it was £25 a month, and they got a one-to-one with me every single week. I was really doing myself and them a disservice.
Yeah.
Um, but I also felt like I should show up as what I viewed as a typical counsellor in my head, and kind of what the media portrays as a counsellor, in kind of grey suits, sat in a dingy room with an old chair that's got all the fluff coming out of it and stuff, with a notebook, and anything you say, they're just going to write it down. And you're like,
Yeah.
the fuck are you writing? I only said my name. What are you writing? I didn't. My name's like 5 letters long. What are you writing there? And so I was showing up as kind of this really soft, gentle, non-swearing, um, kind of fluffy, like rose pinks and all these like calming pastel colours. And I'd researched psychologically what is a calming colour,
Yeah.
what helps you feel soothing. Yeah, then I've had to learn and realise that I'm then attracting people are expecting me to be this really calm, soothing, quiet person. It's like, no, I'm northern,
Yeah.
I'm blunt, and I'll sting like a bee so that you can fly like a butterfly. But I'm going to be honest with you so you can be honest with yourself. But even if that's calling out your own bullshit, like I do a weekly check-in in my membership, and we'll use different things for the check-ins. So we don't want it to be like the, dingy church hall on a Monday night at 7 o'clock with your polystyrene cups. And you're like, oh, I'm Nicola, I'm batshit crazy, and I haven't killed anyone today. Woohoo. So it's like, I wanted to kind of get away from that feeling. So it was like, right, we're going to use a number system between 1 and 10. So you can just come on and say, do you know what, I'm a 3 today. And that's it. If that's all you want to say. We do also have a shit scale. If you like, I just can't find a number. So diarrhea day pretty much explains itself. So
Yeah.
you can also just use shit if you want. But sometimes people would come on and they try and say, I'm a 5 today. I'm like, no, you're not. But why am I a 5? I'm like, that's bullshit. You can't be a 5, because a 5 means you're nothing. A 5 means you're not wanting to have a number. So you're either a 4 or you're a 6. So pick a fucking side.
Yeah.
So I'm quite blunt. Like I won't. I've been there telling myself the bullshit for years. Like I spent 2 decades living in what I call a pity party, and not like I'm a qualified counsellor, yet was so scared to realise, oh shit, I'm not actually hearing voices in my head of my abuser. Oh, I've got complex PTSD. Oh yeah, why didn't I realize that? So I was saying so much bullshit to myself for years. So
Yeah.
I've been there. So I'm not gonna just sit all nice and quietly and just write my notes going, she's chatting shit and not really telling me how she feels. No, I won't write that down. I'll just tell
Yeah.
you. But me putting pastel pinks and flowers, I don't even fucking like flowers. I've still got this flower pot next to me that I don't fucking, it's taken up. But it's all that sort of look on my branding, in the colours, and my
Yeah.
messaging was all very, oh, it's okay, and we're all a bit crazy. And that's, no, I'd say things like, we all struggle with our mind, things like that. Whereas that was bringing people to me who needed that sort of gentle,
Exactly.
softly approach. And then bless them, they're getting me and going, oh Jesus, Mary and Joseph, what?
Not ready for this.
Yeah, and they're like, oh my God. So it's not then making me feel fulfilled. Like you say, it's like being at a wedding. I've got tattoos. I've got like a full leg tattoo. I've got Peter Andre's signature tattooed on me. So if someone doesn't like tattoos, they're not going to get on with me. They're just going to
Yeah.
be like, oh God. So I'd probably be inclined to go up to someone else with tattoos and be like, oh my God, oh, look at that tattoo there. Like, how old is that? When did you have that done?
Exactly.
just part and parcel. So doing that in your business and being like, now my branding is black and bright pink, it's bold, it's out there, being open about the fact I'm statistically a serial killer, but I can use that to my advantage and I can kill the symptoms of your mental illnesses. And
Yeah.
people who want that kind of in your face honesty so that they can then feel, oh, right, this person actually really gets me. And she's not going to make me feel like I'm going to be sat in a grey room and she's going to like just write shit down and she's going to make me feel judged and this is that and the
Yeah.
other. Some
It's
people want,
relatability, isn't it?
yeah, not people, some people want judged, but some people want just the softly approach, and that's okay. And there's people out there, there's
Yeah.
people doing that. I'm not just the only person here doing it. And I think sometimes when we're looking at our personal branding, we are trying to be as if we're the only person doing this.
Yeah.
And so that we've got to relate to everybody. But I
Exactly.
do believe there's no such thing as competition. Like there'll be someone doing the exact same thing as me, but they're not me because they won't be as blunt as me. They definitely won't have as good metaphors as me. I definitely have the best metaphors in the land. I was trying to describe something today in one of my one-to-one sessions. And like without going into context, obviously. But then I was like, it's a bit like you was expecting to see Peppa Pig with wings flying across the sky on a naked unicorn. And then I was like, how's a unicorn naked anyway? It was like, what is coming out of my mouth? Um, like, I don't call people that I work with my clients or my patients because I find again that puts it in a very clinical,
Yeah.
typical counsellor setting. So to me, it's like, no, you're my butterflies because I'm going to help you to be able to fly. You're going to
Yeah.
think you're a caterpillar, you're going to feel really vulnerable, and the whole lots of people use the butterfly in their business, in their branding and stuff like that. But I use it in a completely different way to how somebody else might be using it. Yet we're
Exactly.
all using the same metaphor of you going through this metamorphosis. Is it metamorphosis or metaphor?
Yeah.
God, I've got too many
Met
metas.
metamorphosis. I think it is metamorphosis.
Yeah, it's because I've been saying metaphor that much. Now metamorphosis is assuming like you made a word. Sure, it's metamorphosis. You said it is, so we're going with you said
Yeah,
it.
let's go with that.
You said it. So we're all describing this change that we can take you through. Some people might describe it in a sales process, like, oh, well, I can take your sales from being a caterpillar where you're too scared to say boo to anyone to a butterfly who's selling your shit to everyone, not your actual shit, but my metaphors are not working.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
love that. And I think it's so amazing. Like when you were just talking about that, because I talk about this all the time. So I used to just do the branding, and that was my
mm,
thing. And people would always come to me saying, oh, I do this industry, so I need this sort of color. And everybody ends up looking the same. And it's all this kind of bland, vanilla type message in the whole industry. And you think, if you're actually trying to build something where you're actually magnetic for those right clients, you've got to create something that's a reflection of who you are. And it's exactly why I'm going through the process of doing my own personal brand at the moment. And that will change, and everybody rebrands, and because you
mm.
change as in your own personal development journey. And I think it's so funny that a lot of people, when you get into a business, you think because you're doing a certain thing, you need to come across in a certain way because that's what's deemed as being like that's appropriate for that industry. But
But if
actually,
you
when you
want to
embrace who
do
you
that,
are and you're
yeah,
showing up as that person, like you become magnetic for your perfect fit people.
yeah, that it's like even if you look at planes, like there's so many different plane companies, yet they all have such different messaging.
Yeah.
Like, is it EasyJet or one of them? I can't remember who it is. Who they're a bit of a shit airline and they know it, so they just take the piss out of themselves and have a bit of a laugh, don't they, on their Twitter
Yeah.
account? I think it is, and it's like they are probably okay. I haven't remembered the name, but I don't even remember the names of my kids, so it doesn't mean anything against them. But like you're gonna remember them and know them because they're
Yeah.
not in average. They're not just showing up how you'd expect them to show up. Like Audi, they're really funny, aren't they, with their stuff? Like
Exactly. Yeah, and they always rip
recent,
off the big ones, don't they? And their
yeah,
Christmas ads and stuff.
yeah, yeah. Like on recently, Marks and Spencer's did an advert for their like summer garden furniture, and they've actually used an Audi bottle of wine in the picture.
Oh,
So I'm
really?
all over it, going Marks and this is how the Marks and Spencer thing. Like, it's not just any wine; it's
It's
Aldi wine.
good.
So I was like, "Oh, that's so funny." So it's like we all know of Aldi now, not because it's the cheap place to shop, but because they're funny. And then
Yeah.
that makes us feel like, oh yeah, Aldi's funny. Like if we don't like, I'm not saying it's easy, I'm not, but showing up as us then makes it easier for people to decide if they want to work with us.
Yeah,
And then that makes it easier for us to sell our services to them because they've already pretty much made the decision of whether they like us or not.
exactly.
Now it's just about, what products are going to get or the service suite that you offer or whatever. They've already decided that you're the person for them because you've allowed them to see who you are. So they're
Yeah.
not having to jump on I don't know, a call or, I forget what people call it, a discovery call, sales call, whatever. I just call it a chit chat. Like, let's have a chat. But they're not having to jump on a chat to see if you're the right person for them in
Exactly.
personality wise. They're just jumping on for a chat to see, oh, well, this service you offer, well, I'm a bit like this. Will that one actually
Yeah.
suit me? Rather than, do you like Marmite or not? Like, do you put chocolate in the fridge? Because if you do, I'm ending this call. Do you know what I mean? All that's already
And we're
done.
not
Yeah.
the right fit.
Sorry, connection's gone. But to me, it's like, I think it's about thinking of doing that part of the job for them. Like when
Yeah.
thinking about own buying experiences and thinking, who do we buy for? Who don't we buy for? If someone's coming across really quiet and shy and timid, I wouldn't be attracted to them because I'd probably scare the shit out of them if I was then start voice note and going, you're right, yeah, anyway. Like, oh, what are you doing to me? So it's not easy to show up like who you are because we feel like we want to fit in. It's like being back
Yeah.
at
You
school.
want to be liked, don't
Yeah,
you?
anything different, and we feel like people are going to point out. And we're not going to pretend that there isn't people out there who have got issues in whatever way, so they want to call people out. But you get to decide whether you do or don't listen to that.
Yeah.
My public speaking mentor, Danny Wallace, she has a great saying that I'm pinching off her, but I've quoted in it. But she says that I'm gonna get it wrong. Shit, hang on, breakfast. Yeah, feedback is a breakfast of champions, but you get to decide whether what you eat from that breakfast or not. So if you're starting to show up as yourself, and then someone's going, "Oh my gosh, I don't like the fact you've gone from blush pink to bright in your face pink against a black background," it's like, okay, I understand that's not for you, but I'm still going to keep doing it anyway.
Yeah,
Like, you
exactly.
decide what you do with that feedback.
Yeah.
But that all comes round to how mentally fit you are,
Yeah.
because mentally fit enables you to say, that's your feedback, that's your opinion. I can decide whether I take it or not. Like, I've got teenagers, I've got three of them. They are brutal. Teenagers are brutal. Even my daughter who's 4, my youngest one, she's like a mother. She just says things as they are, and you're like, ow. But so if someone that I love says, Mum, I think you're branding shit. I'm like, oh, why do you think that? And then I'm like, but you're a teenager. I'm
Yeah.
old compared to you, so you're not gonna like it. So actually, I appreciate your advice, but also I think you look like David fucking Dickinson these days. You what? So each their own. We didn't have all that time back in my day. So it's
Oh,
sometimes we're putting stuff out there and then worrying what people think, but then we
yeah,
have to, do we even give a shit what those people think? Really
exactly.
down, do they matter to us?
Yeah. And I think when you embrace who you are, all that's going to happen is you're then going to attract people that are like fully all in and really connected to you, and they become your biggest cheerleaders. So it's better to go really out there and for some people to not gel with you and unfollow, or maybe they might say something nasty, like whatever it is. But yeah, like you say, not letting that impact you, then just be very kind of bland and try and fit in with everybody. And then you're not going to have anybody that really shouts about you or gets that instant connection because you're not actually showing up as your authentic self. And I think they feel that, don't they, in your energy? Like when you turn up into a
Yeah.
room and you're not actually being who you really are, you're not going to be able to gel that well with other people. Whereas if you turn out, and you're like, this is me, like whether you're loud or quiet or whatever, you're going to instantly attract people to you that have the same kind of energy as you.
Yeah, and I think I've literally seen that when I very first started going to events last year, and I went to this event. I'd seen people go on my stories and stuff on Instagram, and I was like, okay, like I'll go then. I only actually went to prove my mindset coach at the time wrong because it was like, you really should start networking and stuff. I'm like, yeah, okay, right, okay. And someone was selling these tickets last minute, but the poster was like 3 weeks old. So I was like, oh, I'll ask. They'll say, sorry, they've gone now. I can screenshot it. I can send it to my mindset coach and go, I did my homework. I did it. The person was actually, oh yeah, I've still got tickets. You should come. And I was like, fuck. So then I kind of ended up at this event and I turned up dressed very muted, very plain colours. You know, I actually ran straight into the toilet to cry my eyes out and was, oh my God, what am I doing? And all the rest of it. But when I was actually in the event, I was so quiet. I was so shy. I was like, you know, I had my head down. And I remember it was at the Danny Wallace fan, but I am. But it was at Danny Wallace's event. And she says at all her events, are you sitting comfortably? And I'm thinking, no, I'm fucking not.
Yeah.
I didn't say anything. The whole room started screaming, yay. And I'm like, the fuck is going on here? But apparently you were supposed to be uncomfortable. I was like, oh yeah, me too. Like I just was really, really quiet. And actually I met people on that first time who were also quiet, and they're lovely people, and we're actually friends. Like we still get along, but they're quiet. They wouldn't necessarily come to me for help if they were struggling with the mental fitness, because I'm a bit loud for them, or I'm a bit too in your face, but that doesn't mean we don't get on. But when I then next went to the event and I had a pink tutu on, and I was like, this is actually who I am. Here's my bright pink tutu, and, you know, just looking really vibrant. I then met such different people who are now like lifelong friends. I speak to one of them every single day now. So it's like, even on a friendship level, when you're going out networking, if you're going to, you're still going to meet people if you're being your unauthentic self, but they're just not necessarily going to be the people that you then end up voice noting every day and stuff with. Like, well, again, we'll probably not work together in a capacity in that sense, because we're kind of a bit different. Like, she's a sweary crystal lady. Like, I'm like, I am down for that name. And you know what I mean? Like, we just get on so well, but we wouldn't have done that if I'd not turned up as myself. And she owns the sweary crystal lady. She owns the branding right there, going, I do crystals, but I'm going to swear about it. And she does art and stuff like that. Says the most amazing swear words in the world. I love it. So even on a friendship level, it helps you to realise, oh yeah, you're my people, because running a business is lonely and tough, and
it is.
nobody gets it unless you're going through it. It is one of those. So sometimes your branding can even help you to make such amazing business friends that you can be an ally with, and you can be like, right, are we applying for this job at Audi or what then? And like, no, we're not, we're staying, we're doing this, you know what you need to do, blah, blah, blah. I was speaking to someone the other day where I was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? This is so hard. I was like, I keep just thinking I should just go get a normal job, whatever that is. And they said to me, do you know what? I've got an application form for Audi in my drawer in my office, and I look at it often. I was like, oh my gosh, really?
That's amazing.
What a great way to procrastinate as well, you know, when you are trying to work on your business and you're just a bit stuck. I'm like, actually, I'll just fill in application forms for Aldi.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much for coming on to my podcast. How can anybody find you, like next steps, if they would love support with you? How can they get to you?
Look for the crazy lady. No, I'm kidding. So
I'm pink.
Yeah, crazy lady in the pink tutu as well. So I'm stronger than your mind, which if you put an underscore in between each one, you can find me on Instagram. But I am Nicola Jane Parker on Facebook, or you can just go to strongerthanyourmind.com and you'll find all my bits and pieces. Not my bits and pieces. That sounded, consider me a serial killer and then say bits and pieces. That is not a good thing to say, is it? But you know
all
what
the
I meant.
details.
That's it. That's better.
Thank you so much. I will put all of the links and everything in the show notes. So make sure that you go and check out Nicola and go give her a follow on Instagram. Thank you so much, Nicola. I'll speak to everybody soon.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to this podcast episode. If you're ready to unlock the secrets of building your own personal brand, head over to my website, baileyandrue.com, where you can grab my free Brand Brilliance Blueprint today. It's your roadmap to success in the world of branding. And hey, let's stay connected beyond the podcast. Follow me on Instagram at baileyandrue for daily inspiration, behind the scenes insights, and exclusive content to fuel your brand journey. See you there.